Welcome back to What's the Obsession True Crime, where we cover all things true crime. And in this video, we are going to be talking about the Idaho4 Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger case. With the gag order partially lifted and family members and others talking, we can now take new information that's been learned through these sources and compare it to old information that had been released to the public to gain a better perspective of what really happened. Let's take a look back at a report on Kathy Mabbutt's reports to the family members.
County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes. There were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Goncalves also told me the county coroner called and told her 17-year-old daughter graphic details from the autopsy over the phone.
She asked, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said yes, and she proceeded to tell her.
And you haven't spoken to the coroner?
No.
The family says they met with authorities Monday to express their grievances. A Moscow police spokesperson declined to comment on allegations relating to communications with the family. NBC News reached out separately to the coroner but received no comment.
Now that Bryan Kohberger has pled guilty to the murders of Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, and Xana Kernodles, and the Judge Hippler, has at least partially lifted the gag order, people are talking from every direction. Members of the media, members of the family, friends, you name it, people have been yearning to speak about what they know for literally years at this point. What we have learned about the victims' final moments has come from hearing from the family members, what they have disclosed to the public, and also then from the court documents that Judge Hippler has unsealed or unredacted, and therefore the public has been privy to more information. And of course, all of these details are horrifying, heartbreaking, and absolutely tragic. And the public's wanting to learn about the final moments of these victims is not just for the sake of learning the grotesque details. At least for most of us, it certainly is not. Every little bit that we learn about this crime can be pieced together with another little bit that we have learned about this crime to help paint a larger picture of how and why this horrific crime ever occurred in the first place. After all, the prosecution did not require Bryan Kohberger to allocate or to confess specific details of the crime, which was really our last hope of hearing about what happened specifically from the mouth of the man who committed these horrible crimes, and it seems that that chance has passed. So all we can do at this point is piece together the pieces of information that we have to try to create a larger picture. We learned rather recently that Bryan Kohberger's pornography searches included the word pornography along with terms like forced, drugged, and asleep. Pretty eerie now, isn't it? Definitely not normal. Now, take a listen to what Steve Goncalves had to say when he was being interviewed by Ashley Banfield just a few days ago.
And it's because we're not getting the facts. Parents shouldn't have to beg to know what happened to their kid the last 24 hours of their life. We figured out everything that we could. We got the grub truck video before they did. We got the white car. We got the 112 surveillance even before they got it. We were the ones to tell them to go to these cameras and pull them off. I'm sure they already were going to do that anyway, but we got it before they did. So they were just concerned that they weren't in control and we knew too much stuff. And
Did someone with the investigation describe that Kaylee or Maddie was gagged during this horrible crime?
I was told that by somebody in I can give that out. That was Mabbutt. That was Mabbutt who gave that information.
What did she say?
There was some damage to her. There was some damage around her mouth right here, like somebody had pressed in and tried to keep her quiet. She'd been hit multiple times in her head and her skull was damaged. We gotta go. So, all right, they're telling me I gotta go, so we gotta fly.
That is definitely some new information, new to the public at least. It sounds like those injuries that Steve Goncalves has described would be consistent with somebody attempting to gag the victim. So was there an element of that kind of, activity that would be in line with Bryan Kohberger's searches for the different types of pornography that would indicate that he was, yes, in fact, trying to carry out some kind of fantasy there when he committed those horrible crimes? And again, that information was learned by Steve Goncalves from Kathy Mabbutt, and we will be returning to that. And it seems that the Goncalves family is not the only family that learned information, and incorrect information at that, from County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt. Apparently, Ethan Chapin's families also learned incorrect information from the same source. On a recent episode of The Interview Room, Chris McDonough revealed that Stacy Chapin had been told by Kathy Mabbutt in regards to the extra mutilation delivered to Ethan Chapin, so sadly, is that it was just one stab wound to the buttocks, while we have since learned that there was some carving done to Ethan Chapin's hamstring area. It wasn't just one stab wound to the buttocks, and I'm sure that Kathy Mabbutt was probably trying to be gentle when talking to the families, but I would also have to say, when disclosing information of this nature, it is absolutely paramount that you are above all accurate, as well as compassionate in your delivery. What do you guys think? So let's take a look back at some of the information that Kathy Mabbutt had delivered to the families of the Idaho4 slayings, along with their real-time testimonies of the treatment that they were given by law enforcement. Back in the beginning, apparently before the gag order was put into place.
County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes. There were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Goncalves also told me the county coroner called and told her 17-year-old daughter graphic details from the autopsy over the phone.
She asked, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said yes, and she proceeded to tell her.
And you haven't spoken to the coroner?
No.
The family says they met with authorities Monday to express their grievances. A Moscow police spokesperson declined to comment on allegations relating to communications with the family. NBC News reached out separately to the coroner but received no comment.
Sir, when was the last time you talked with law enforcement about the case?
Well, we just had a vacation. Law enforcement told me that they were going to drop off a little bit and not to expect the same type of communication that I had gotten before. They passed it on to another person. So basically, long story short, it was Wednesday, 5 p.m. was the last time that they reached out to me. So, yeah, that's rough.
Sir, what are they telling you?
They're kind of just telling me that they can't tell me much, which is frustrating to me because I've been very trustworthy. I do know things. I haven't shared things. We're the same family that found the original timeline. We're the same family that broke into the phones. We tried everything in our ability to try to get into this system because a court order is not the fastest thing. So we broke in and we did what we did. We know that we have some family passwords that we all share. So we broke in and we helped them.
First off, the map that just came out from police, it gives a little bit of a timeline of where they may have been that night. Does that map mesh up with the timeline that you've been putting together?
Yeah, I'd say it's very close. I'd say if you have any closer details to kind of hone in
145 could be very vague. Maybe it's closer to, 150. Let us know if you have anything concrete, because right now.
In terms of the details, you said it's close.
Mm-hmm.
Does that frustrate you that it's close?
I do, but right now we're still trusting authorities that, it's not going to be 20 minutes here or 15 minutes here that's breaking this. But yeah, I implore everyone, if they know something different, bring it to the police, because if they want to tighten up that timeline, we stand with that.
Your family's been frustrated with the investigation so far, understandably so. Here we are, a week and a half out, and really not much information about this, does not appear to be a suspect. Tell me, Olivia, what specifically you've been frustrated with, because you did your own work here. For instance, you found video of the food truck, for example, where two of the victims were seen the same night as this killing.
Yeah, I would say, I think that obviously this is extremely personal for us, and we treated it that way from the very get-go. I know how valuable those first 48, 72 hours are. And I can only hope that the police also know how valuable that is, and that they have a lot of information there that just isn't public right now. I will say the one lingering frustration I have is the timeline. I know it's semantics, but my sisters got home at 1:56. It wasn't 1:45. I know it might not seem significant, but when we're looking for camera, when we're looking for dash footage, when we're looking for any of those things, I do feel it is valuable, and they did get home at 1:56. It was not 1:45.
Olivia Goncalves isn't waiting for police. She's tracking down her own leads to find her sister Kaylee's killer.
We're not getting any answers, and we're not going to settle for that.
Hi.
It was Olivia who found the potentially crucial video of her sister and Madison Mogen at a food truck just hours before they were murdered. She also tracked down their Uber driver.
I found neighbors' Ring camera footage so that I can verify that the Uber driver took her home.
We're just left in limbo.
This morning, Kaylee Goncalves' parents sharing exclusively with GMA never-before-seen pictures and videos of their 21-year-old daughter.
This is a type you can season with these. I can't really season with them, but you can cook with them.
Yeah, I know that's in front of the tower.
Yeah.
This is in front of the University of Idaho Tower.
The family still waiting on a full digital copy of Kaylee's phone from authorities.
These are the last moments of your child's life, and you're sitting here fighting with somebody who just doesn't care.
They were able to collect some of Kaylee's belongings from the university over the summer, which raised concerns for them about how well possible evidence was processed, including a trash can from Kaylee's room that was full and appeared untouched.
We opened it. It was a little squeezy applesauce thing like you would give to a toddler.
Yeah.
It did not appear to have been gone through.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up.
Yes.
And had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a bed.
Tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. The headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. She was trapped.
The home on King Road was torn down in the pre-dawn hours of December 28th.
Making my way up the front left side of this crime scene property. I'm following the yellow police tape. I wouldn't, where I'm standing right now, be able to safely make my way to the front door because there's a steep drop off here with the road and where the property is, but I'm only about 15 yards from that front door right there. Inside this front door to the immediate left is a staircase that leads up to the second level. You can see through this window the good vibes, neon lights that is the living room area of this home where that staircase leads. And I continue, of course, can walk up this hill along the side of the home, following the police tape. And as I do, I become closer and closer to this home. So other than this yellow crime scene tape, which right here, I could easily just step onto this property without any sort of barrier. I've now made my way up the hill where you can see the back of the home. This balcony is the 3rd floor of the home. These windows next to the balcony, I believe, is a bedroom, possibly where 1 or 2 of the victims were found stabbed to death. If my photographer moves down to the 2nd floor here, which would be ground level because, again, this house is built into a hill. I believe that's also a bedroom on the 2nd floor next to the kitchen. And from where I'm standing right here on this public road, I can easily see into any of these windows.
That brings me to the issue of Mrs. Chapin. Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, has given that statement to me saying that, you know, we're okay with this at this point. We agree with the university. We think it's in the best interest of the kids who are there, including her 2 kids, and the community as a whole. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally respect it. I get it. I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white salon, this car took. And people are going to wonder what he was doing when he parks in certain locations for extended amount of time. What was he looking at? I want to know what he was looking at. And I don't know how you can see what this man was looking at without the house being there. What windows was he peering into? Why did he pick that location to stop at? Why did he keep going back to these certain locations? And I don't know about the other 12 or 13 times that he was there. I just know of the day that this happened and the footage that was given to me.
Sir, they have shared with us that it was a targeted attack. Can you give us any information about that? Have they told you who the target was or given you more insight than they have the public?
I don't want to talk bad about them because these are some hardworking individuals, and I'm doomed without them. We're all doomed without them.
Opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have
may
to go
been
up the
the target.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill.
Steve says the coroner told him the killer's rampage started on the 3rd floor, where both Maddie and Kaylee had their bedrooms. Christy thinks he wasn't expecting to find the 2 friends together in the same bed.
I do think that his plan went awry. I do think that, he intended to kill one and
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road.
News Nation witnessed investigators removing several items from the victim's home, including what looks like to be a bed frame and a mattress covered in bloodstains. Now, the judge in this case approving the defense team's request to preserve the crime scene for several more weeks. News Nation's Robert Sherman is live for us on the ground in Moscow. And to explain what all this means, Robert, what can you tell us?
Good evening to you, Kelsey. And when you think about it, for weeks on end, we did not have a suspect in this case. That has since changed, and now Bryan Kohberger's team will have the opportunity to examine that scene for themselves and put together their own defense.
New activity at the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered, as investigators removed mattresses and furniture outside and carted them away. After weeks of seemingly little movement in the case, the process is now picking up.
Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up.
Yes.
And had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a
Tiny,
bed.
tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
As the world has come to know, Kelly Goncalves died in the same bed with her best friend Madison Mogen in Madison Mogen's bedroom at 1122 King Road. In a recent 48 hours, Steve and Christy Goncalves were asked what they know regarding the details about how Kaylee died.
We know the autopsy. We know the means of what is officially how she died. She was assaulted and stabbed.
Several times. Her death certificate is the ugliest, disgustingest piece of paper that you will ever see in your life.
Christy and Steve Goncalves talked to coroner Kathy Mambut before the gag order was in place. And the details that they learned about how Kaylee died, how their daughter died, are absolutely horrific.
The bed was up against the wall. The headboard was touching the wall, and the left side of the bed was touching the wall. We believe that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was on the inside.
According to Coroner Mambut, the killer's first victim was Maddie.
You believe she had awakened at that point?
Yes.
Yeah, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
The way the bed was set up is what...
She was trapped.